Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted greater peace in your life right now, then do we have the Soma Breath show for you. Today I'll be talking with Niraj Naik, rave artist, musician, the Renegade Pharmacist, and the founder of Soma Breath. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about changing your breath to change your life. That, plus we'll talk about running raves, peak human experiences, losing 20 kilos, the power of the breath hold, Tony Robbins, Swami Ambikananda, the Rig Veda, CD Powers, Happy Drugs and Om, Mula Bandha and a tight butt, and what in the world 60 Minutes and a Coca-Cola has to do with anything. So welcome to the show, Niraj. Are you ready to shine?
Ready to rock.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right. Well, I have no other way to put it. You seem like my kind of geek. Where did you grow up? What did you learn about or like to learn about growing up?
All right. Well, I actually grew up in the UK, in the sunny Isle of England. And I actually was raised, obviously, by an Indian family who were very academic and encouraged me to become an academic as well by studying to become a pharmacist. So that actually is what I did at university. And I mean, you want me to talk before that?
Yeah, I'd love to talk before that because there has to be this evolution of you geeking out way before pharmacy, and then we'll go to the raves. But what did you really like tinkering with growing up?
Yeah, well, this was actually like a very formative time in my life because I was the only brown guy in the class.
Yeah.
I was much smaller than everyone else, skinnier than everyone else. And obviously with that, got picked on more than anyone else. And there's a game in England called rugby, you may be familiar with, which is like quite a violent sport, especially when it's a bunch of kids playing it. And I used to hate it because I would be the one who got his head kicked in pretty much every game. So I always made excuses to get off the games, and I would use that time to go into the music rooms because that was where I found my kind of peace by tinkering with keyboards. Actually, what happened was my dad decided just randomly to give me a gift as a keyboard. So I got hooked on it straight away, like electronic music. And this was like my kind of solace, like to get away from all the bullying. And eventually I started to get quite good at composing music. I just had this natural gift to just make music up. And I never got taught classically or anything. So it was all self-taught, which I think is actually the way forward. If you want to be good at composition, but if you want to be really good at playing other people's music, then go and get piano lessons. So anyway, that was great because it got me into discovering my passion at a really young age, which was making music. And eventually I became like the cool kid in the class because I could like wire up keyboards and make like rave dance music, house music, things like that. When it was like kind of underground back then, it was like a new thing. So I mean, like EDM and all that stuff now, we're talking like 25 years ago. Like now it's like mainstream, it's like everywhere you go, there's some kind of dance music DJ playing. And this was way before that. So that actually gave me this passion for getting my name out there as a DJ. One of the easiest ways to do that, it was not easy, but best ways was to put on events. So university, I started to put on actually, I made a loophole in the system at university. Like I basically said to everyone, I bet you I can get the university to fund us to put on raves at the university. And everyone thought I was crazy, but there was a loophole where you could create a society at university where the university will give you a budget to run society events. And our society events were DJ events, club events. And that basically formed this society called One Mission, the DJ Society. And we ended up like, I think it's even still running now. I'd say 10, 15 years later, it was still running. So I think it's still maybe going in some shape or form. And that then led me to actually running much bigger events. And I started to run this 2,000 capacity club in the UK, actually in my hometown. And that ran for 3 years. And I always thought that I was just going to be a musician, a DJ. And I'd found my thing, my calling in life. And I went literally from that to becoming a legal drug dealer at the age of about 24.
Was that a parental influence? What made you say, because from what I understand, you were a thrill seeker, you were you were out there, you were pushing the limits on every side of things, really pushing the limits, but you were interested in how literally to get people high, in a sense to bring them up with the music or other means, and then all of a sudden you're put into a tight box. How did that happen?
Oh, yeah, so there was an unfortunate event. This was around the time of my finals when I was going to become when I was doing my final exams to become a pharmacist. There was this type of music in the UK called garage music, which attracts it's like kind of hip hop, gangster rap, and it attracts a bad crowd. And at one of the other events at this venue, not my event, another event, because our event was all about the love. It was just pure bliss and love and family, right? I mean, 1,000, 2,000 people raving and just embracing that. But this event, it was just a whole different vibe. And there was a shooting that happened, and I think nobody died, but somebody almost got killed from it. It made the club get shut down. And I had to make a choice. Either try and I had to quit my finals and go and try and fix this event and try and find a new venue, or finish my finals. My parents put a lot of pressure on. I mean, any parent would have done in that situation, I think, but they put a lot of pressure on me to qualify. So I did that. By that point, it was too late to get back into the flow, and I ended up literally working in a proper community pharmacy, just wondering what the hell happened. And it was literally like being in prison. And a lot of really bad luck just kept happening, one after the other. I just went down I went from having it all to suddenly just anything I did would fail, like my relationships failed. I lost lots of friendships around that time. You really figure out who your real friends are during these sort of low moments. And I slowly became more and more introverted, more and more depressed, stressed, downing my sorrows on the weekends, trying to do any type of business idea that I could think of to escape the pharmacy, getting more and more deeper into debt. I even bought a really expensive car at this point because I thought this was it, now I'm going to be a grown-up pharmacist. I need to have a posh car to drive me around. And I spent a fortune on a Jaguar, and I got super deep into debt. I really realized that actually this is a normal way of life for most people, and that a lot of people they do what's supposed to be on paper the right thing to do according to society. You end up in massive debt. You end up unhealthy, trying to alleviate the symptoms of depression by harming yourself through alcohol, drugs, and all that. And it's actually a common thing. It was I wasn't alone. I was actually very common, my situation. Yeah, no, I think actually I was on the more cleaner side of the types of people that I knew who were friends from university, who had gone and got jobs, normal careers. A lot of people were numbing themselves, with either antidepressants or alcohol or some form of drug in order to numb the senses,
Well, there's an irony here, as you're going further and further down the hole, without trying to be, you're now the pusher of people going further and further down the hole. So I see a spiral. You're getting more depressed. You're giving antidepressants to people who are getting a whole brown bag worth of pill. So you're not actually helping them, is my guess. And so you're feeling even more depressed because now you're feeling helpless, that you're not actually helping others. because we all have a calling, I believe, to help others, to raise others up, to bring them the light. And so you're spiraling downward and downward.
Well, yeah, you wonder, like, you do all this studying university, like 6 years of hardcore studying, and it's like, what are you doing it for? And you go into pharmacy, and the environment of pharmacy is cold, sterile, soulless. You don't have more than 5 minutes to spend with a patient anyway, and you're not trained in actually how to help that patient. The only thing you're taught is how to dispense these pills. And with that comes a lot of side effects and problems. And I was observing this on a big scale of the amount of people who are suffering taking pills. And I could see the patterns of, a patient will come in with one pill. A few months later, they'll be on 3 or 4. And it was you could see this progression and very common kind of situation.
Now you were fortunate in a sense, and I actually think, and you probably agree at this point, all of the unfortunates were actually fortunate for guiding you on your path. But you were fortunate in that you actually got promoted to the head office, largest supermarket in the UK, and you came up with this brilliant idea that turns out to be too renegade. What was that?
Yeah. So I actually I wanted to do something to help patients, and it all came by a stroke of fate when I got taken to a Tony Robbins event, and I got dragged kicking and screaming to this rah-rah motivational guru, which I was like, this is the last place I want to be at this point. But it was incredible. It was a real shift in my mindset and everything.
And the last day, what was he talking about?
Yeah. And the last day was all about health and diet. And this was the first time I ever heard anything relationship to nutrition and diet and its effect on your health. He talked a lot about the acid alkaline balance, which I don't fully agree with now, but just if you look at it for how it works, you're basically getting people off factory-based foods onto just normal foods in a nutshell. And in the pharmacy, so many people are just eating factory-based, like processed foods, microwave meals. So I just did an experiment. I came up with this healthy shopping list concept where I could give patients just quick information with actionable steps to start making their own food, real food, rather than the microwave meals or the packet cereals and things like that. So just by doing these little swaps, I had amazing results. I was getting people off blood pressure medications, statins, all kinds of different medications, diabetic medication. Type 2 diabetes was so common and had great results with that. So that actually got the attention of this big supermarket chain, and I came up with this concept of healthy shopping lists to give customized meal plans to people on their shopping channel, on their website, so that they could literally deliver to housebound patients with type 2 diabetes, heart patients, food straight to the door that's good for them, that's with instructions on how to make their own food, or for their carers to be able to make it. And I thought this was going to be an amazing service. It would help millions of people. But 6 months into it, I actually realized that they actually wanted to water down almost everything I was saying. There's a lot of rules and restrictions on what you can say, what you can't say. And in the end, it seemed like it was going to impact the profits of the corporation. Because I was telling people, don't eat processed foods, don't drink Coca-Cola, don't
what
take
does
those
happen?
cereals.
You have on your page, I guess, a viral post. What happens if you have a Coca-Cola?
Yeah, I mean, several years later, actually, I created this infographic about Coca-Cola that blew up the internet. It's what got me really known in the mainstream as the Renegade Pharmacist. And so I did this infographic for fun, which was what happens to your body 1 hour after drinking a can of Coke. It was actually based on my experience in the pharmacies, just seeing so many people drinking fizzy drinks and the correlation to diabetes and heart disease and blood pressure problems. So I just did a timeline based on the ingredients that's in Coca-Cola, and it's pretty shocking what can happen to your body, because if you look at the ingredients of Coca-Cola, like one of the most popular, if not most popular beverages in the world, okay? There's so many people drink as though it's water. Yeah. So this is their source of water every day. Well, firstly, there's at least 10 teaspoons of sugar in a can of Coke, right? 10 teaspoons. That's no joke, all right? Even just take a tea and put 2 teaspoons of sugar in a tea, you'll see how sweet that is. Yeah. But 10 in a can, that's serious amounts. So because it's so sweet, like that would actually make you puke up. You had so much. So they balance out the flavors, and they add another ingredient called phosphoric acid. So already Coca-Cola, what it is a soup of sugar, extreme amounts of sugar, and extreme amounts of acid. I mean, that alone is a recipe for disaster for your teeth.
Which is why it's great in a car battery. If your car battery is corroded, the leads are corroded, you can pour Coca-Cola on it, and it will eat away the corrosion, quite literally.
Exactly, yeah. It's a great disinfectant cleaner. It cleans stuff really well. It also cleans out your insides of, all the good bacteria. The gut microbiome gets disturbed pretty much through a can of Coke. So obviously the amount of sugar that's in it is going to spike your insulin. So at least within about 20 minutes, you're going to get a spike of insulin. So this is what can lead to, if you keep getting spikes of insulin that are not natural, and most processed foods will create, because a lot of them have artificial sugars in, will create the spike of insulin. And over time, you get something called insulin resistance. And that can lead to something called metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome is basically the precursor for diabetes, type 2 diabetes. You get like this pot belly syndrome, and you get potentially high blood pressure and heart disease. So really, and obesity is another side effect of metabolic syndrome. So actually, Coca-Cola is one of the best things if you want to get metabolic syndrome, is to drink lots of Coke. So then about 40 minutes later, you start getting the caffeine absorbed into the system, and it starts to actually raise your blood pressure. It makes a burst of noradrenaline. And so this again has an effect on your blood pressure, raising your blood pressure. You get this feel-good rush as well of the dopamine, which is what makes it quite addictive, because we love going for that dopamine rush. But just as a summary, then the problem with all of that acid is that it can actually leach minerals from your bones and your teeth, and it starts to actually it can lead to actually things like osteoporosis in the long term. But ultimately, you're stripping away valuable minerals from your bones, from your teeth, and you pee it all out in the end. But ultimately, it's like a great way of just stripping out goodness out of your system, and you basically peeing out like a diuretic. So it's a very powerful diuretic. And actually, you could argue that if you have a stomach bug, right, you could have a few sips of Coke, and that Coke may actually act as a natural antiseptic and kill the bug. It's the same thing in Mexico. It's custom to drink tequila shot after a meal, because pure alcohol is also like a natural disinfectant. And actually, Coca-Cola originally was made as a stomach remedy, and it used to have coca leaf in it, right, until they got banned. But it was used as a stomach aid because the ingredients that in the olden days were probably good for helping to disinfect the gut if you have stomach problems.
So
yeah.
So let's go from that, and I'm going to assume, and you can just go yes, that the artificial sweeteners, if we went with a Diet Coke or something, are not any better, correct?
Yeah, so the problem with, and this is a misconception, so a lot of people will go to like artificial diet drinks like Diet Coke because they think it's safer and healthier than the sugar-based ones. So a lot of people go on these Diet Cokes and then they wonder why they not losing weight. You know, they've made that shift. They're eating a healthy diet, but they're still drinking Diet Coke all day long. Because the Diet Coke, firstly, it has all that, still has all that acid. Okay, it still causes all the problems to the minerals in the body. But the artificial sweetness, because of the sweetness, you actually only need the taste of sweet,
Bingo.
okay, to trigger this response in the body to produce insulin. And actually, in Ayurveda, the Ayurvedic system of medicine in India, ancient India, it classifies foods based on the taste. So sweet foods will do a certain thing to the body. Bitter, stringent foods will work in a different way to the body. So our taste buds does influence our physiology. So that's why like having very sweet artificial drinks pretty much is the same, if not worse, than drinking just plain Coca-Cola, because you end up drinking more of it, thinking that it's good for you.
Thank you. So let's go from there to your bout of ulcerative colitis, and then we're going to fast forward to the breath. So you got really sick, you're housebound for a year, and you would say now this is the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
What was the spiritual cause of getting sick, and why was this so great?
Okay, so what happened was, as I said, like the idea was themed to Renegade, and I didn't carry on with it. Now, I was faced with potentially trying to get another job in the head office, and I looked around this head office, and literally everyone's working in cubicles, glued to their computer screens. It just seemed like the most soulless place on the planet. And me, my kind of personality, just doesn't fit into these sort of robotic environments. And that was the one thing that terrified me. The other thing was to go back to my original job as a pharmacist. Like I worked so hard to get out of it to now suddenly have to go back. I just felt so disillusioned. I was like, there cannot be a God. Like, how am I being punished like this? What have I done wrong? You know, and I really just lost my will to live. You know, I just had no faith in the planet and humanity anymore. And I lost my connection to the divine, to the spirit. And suddenly I got hit like a lightning bolt with this ulcerative colitis, this autoimmune condition. It basically left me housebound for a year. I was like blood like 40 times a day. I lost like over 3 stone in weight, which is about 20 kilograms in weight. You know, I was only around 60 anyway. Like naturally, I'm not a big dude. But to lose another 20 is like, you know, it's like a third of your body weight gone. So I was like a rake. I looked so ill. People were shocked when they saw me, and I couldn't get out of bed. I was super sick. And then they say that God stands for gift of desperation. Okay. And literally at this most desperate moment in my life, I was told by the consultant that diet has no influence on you. In fact, I was doing all of the things to try and fix me that you would assume would be the healthy things, like raw vegan diets, eating like, you know, healthy vegan foods, drinking juices and smoothies. I was doing all that, but the food was just passing through me, like through me. So it was like in one second, out the next. And I was wondering like what's going on. And even as the doctor said, diet has no influence on your diet, on your health, and nor does stress levels, and that this is just a incurable thing that's unfortunately happened to you. So shut up and take the pills. And basically I was given 2 choices: either be a guinea pig for a drug that hasn't been tested before, or have your colon removed. And this was when I was ready to end it all. But this most desperate moment in my life came to the rescue, a now very close friend of our family, Swami Ambikananda, who taught me the foundations of Ayurveda, Pranayama, and yoga. And she said to me, if you can heal yourself now, you'll be an incredible role model. You'll be a gift to mankind if you can heal yourself. And literally within a few months, I healed myself. And I learned through Ayurveda that there's no one size fits all. So a vegan raw food diet does not necessarily work with my energy type, and they classify everyone with different energies. And my energy type does not suit a raw vegan diet. In fact, I needed some of those grounding meats. I needed the bone broth. I needed some of the beef to actually help regrow the cells, the lining, and to ground me, and nourish me. I also needed something called colostrum, which I discovered, which is an amazing healing substance. It's basically the first milk that a cow produces. We all consume colostrum from the mother as soon as we're born, and it actually gives you the digestive lining that allows you to digest normal food. And if you're deprived of colostrum as a baby, you're very likely to have childhood allergies and sensitivities to food and digesting food, especially lactose and gluten and other kind of plant-based foods. So it's really important that we can actually re-heal the gut and reform the gut as a healthy lining. And we can take bovine colostrum, cow's colostrum, has the same translation into humans, and it's actually like 1,000 times more potent than human colostrum. And cows make 4 times the amount that calf needs. So actually, it's almost like cows producing this excess colostrum to save humans from all these horrible diseases that we get. So, we worship cows in India, and this is one of the reasons, because the cows provide so much. In India, you don't eat the cow, but the colostrum is almost like having beef itself. It's not really dairy; it's a totally different substance. It's like real food, and it's an amazing, remarkable healer. That was one of the things that really tipped me over the edge and healed my gut and allowed me to digest normal food. Actually, now I can eat gluten. I can drink dairy. I don't have any problems. So yeah,
beautiful. So
magic stuff.
Let's go from there, and the theme today is we're going to talk about how we can change our breath to change our life. What is pranayama? How did you start geeking out on this?
Yeah, so one of the other subjects that I learned was pranayama and the relationship of breath with your physiology. So just in India's ancient school of breathwork is called pranayama. Prana means energy, yama means control, because they knew that just through controlling your breath, we could control the energetic processes in the body. So where is energy produced? In the cells, in the mitochondria. Mitochondria is the source of metabolism in every single cell in the body. So the formula is oxygen comes in, burns with glucose. Okay, so it's just like a real fire. Air comes in, burns with coal or wood on a normal fire. In our cells, we have oxygen and glucose, sugar. So glucose is the preferred source of fuel in the body. So the glucose burns with oxygen and it produces like an inner fire, which is the ATP energy, which is the currency of energy in the body. However, just like a real fire, too much air, the fire can burn too bright. Let's look at Californian wildfires, right? All those heavy winds. The fire burns too bright and it spreads and it can cause damage. Okay, too little oxygen, the fire doesn't burn at all, and you don't get enough energy. So we want the right balance of oxygen and energy being produced in the body. So through pranayama, through breathing techniques, we can actually modulate the energetic processes in the body. We can slow down energy production. We can speed it up. So when you breathe in oxygen. When you breathe out carbon dioxide. And when you breathe in, your heart rate goes up a little bit. When you breathe out, your heart rate goes down a little bit. So actually, through different breathing patterns, we can actually change the amount of oxygen that's coming in, the amount of carbon dioxide going out. And actually, we need the right balance of carbon dioxide to get the oxygen that first comes in, absorbs onto red blood cells to move into the tissue cells. So actually, by slowing down breathing, we can actually raise carbon dioxide that can allow the oxygen to actually move into the cells where it's needed from the red blood cells, called the Bohr effect. where the oxygen comes in and is used for metabolism.
I want to geek out on that for just a second. It's just one of my favorite concepts in life, which is oxygen and CO2 actually work in balance, in harmony with each other. We're taught that CO2 is a poisonous gas, a byproduct, but the more CO2 we hold by slowing down the breath, the more oxygen we can actually bring into the cells.
Yes, that's completely right. So actually, pranayama techniques, the idea of it, the goal of it is to get you to breathe less, not more. And the average breath rate that's for a really healthy yogi is around 3 to 4 breaths per minute at rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people are breathing 10 to 12 breaths per minute. And the yogis observe that animals in the wild that breathe very fast don't live a very long time. And the animals that breathe very slowly and rhythmically live a long time, much longer time. Humans have the ability to breathe very fast and very slow. We can consciously control our rate of breath, which is what makes us very different from other human beings. It means that through that, we can tap into our autonomic nervous system. Breath is the one thing that works on autopilot, also works, we can have conscious control over it. So what we can do through that knowledge is we can change the rate of our breathing to influence the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Now, just before I get to that point, the way we over time need to breathe less, is by making our cells very efficient at using oxygen. So all of the yoga practices in the olden days, it's been changed quite a lot since. But the traditional yoga, I call it Soma yoga, was all about making very, very efficient cells in your body at using oxygen. So one of the ways to train that is by shutting off oxygen supply and doing anaerobic exercise. When you do anaerobic exercise, it forces your cells in your body. So say you contract a muscle like this.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're contracting your bicep.
Yeah. Hold it into for as long as you possibly can, a maximum contraction. The muscle is forced to use up the supply of oxygen that it has. Okay. If you move like this, right?
Extending
so
that
doing
arm back
dumbbells,
and forth. Yeah.
You're always getting blood supply to the oxygen. It's like riding a bike with stabilizers. But if you do maximum contraction, where you shut off all the oxygen supply, then it's like taking the stabilizers off the bike. And if you want to get really good at riding a bike, take the stabilizers off. Okay. So this is what yoga is all about. It's a system of static contraction for extended duration, actually to the point of exhaustion. So you're meant to hold each pose to the point of exhaustion and modulate your breath so you really slow the breath down to as low as you can. This causes strength. It forces your muscles to adapt and become stronger, healthier, and have better stamina endurance. So this is the way I do yoga, is all static contraction to the point of exhaustion, rather than all this flow stuff that you see in the mainstream.
You're always hearing these days about the Wim Hof method, and I held my breath, and instead of being able to do 6 or 8 push-ups, I'm able to do 20 or 30 or more. Is that what we're talking about? And what is he doing, and what is the breath doing that allows us, in a sense, to appear superhuman?
Yeah. So Wim is a good friend of mine. He's all about this, training anaerobically as well. Although he doesn't explain it that way, he kind of explains it that we've got to breathe more. That's his mantra, which is actually not right. It's not right, and I've had to correct them on occasions. I used to be involved with running events with them, but like more accurately is breathe less, my friends.
Yeah, thank you.
My friends. Yeah, I prefer my friends over my anytime. So anyway, so if you look at actually the Russians did a lot of work on hypoxic training, and for many, many, many decades, okay, they have been studying endurance athletes and high altitude training and looking at tribes like the Nepalese Gurkhas, the world's strongest army, who live up in high altitudes, and observing why is it the people who train at high altitude seem to get stronger and healthier and have less disease symptoms. And what they realized was that what is happening is when you go into high altitude for short periods of time and come back down, your body has adapted to having less oxygen. So by lowering the oxygen, the body adapts, okay, by producing more red blood cells. It creates vasodilation, so you get better blood flow around your body. So your body can pump oxygen more efficiently around the body. It also causes better blood flow in the brain, so you actually wake up dormant parts of the brain. In fact, these siddhi powers that yogis are supposed to possess may be explained by this hypervascularization of the brain, so that more blood flow is going to dormant parts of the brain, waking up cognitive powers that hadn't existed. So yeah, so this is the theory is that when you go up into high altitude, your body adapts, creates all these amazing properties in the body, and then when you come back down to sea level, you are a more stronger adapted human, so you're going to have better endurance, stamina, and more efficient energy production in the body. Now, what the yogis realized was actually we can simulate this without using machines or going up to mountains, just by holding our breath. They created a technique called Yashiro Chakra, which is basically rhythmic breathing, Bhastrika, followed by breath retention, called Kumbhaka.
Can you teach us a bit of this?
Yeah. So when you breathe in a rhythm, okay, we breathe out the carbon dioxide. When we do a fast rhythm, we breathe out carbon dioxide and we breathe in oxygen. All right. And what triggers you to breathe, okay, is carbon dioxide, not oxygen. So when there's excess carbon dioxide, it stimulates you to breathe again. So if you can breathe all the carbon dioxide out, so if we go, so this is actually Russian Sistema burst breathing. It's called burst breathing, and you're breathing carbon dioxide out. So you're breathing out carbon dioxide, okay? If you take a breath in and breathe out, you'll be able to hold your breath significantly longer than you just did at rest.
Okay? Don't do this in a pool, by the way, everyone. If you're doing this, don't do this in a pool.
Yeah, don't do this in a pool. And do it in a place where you're not going to pass out, because you can pass out. Where you're not going to hurt yourself if you did pass out. There's nothing wrong with passing out, but it can happen. But I like to do so that's this Sistema burst breathing, and you can also call it Bhastrika. But I changed it. I've made it so it's very rhythmical, and I put music to it. And what this does is when you breathe in a rhythm, so in 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, in 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4. This creates a state called coherence. Okay, so when you get optimum blood flow from your heart to your brain, you get this state called coherence.
I'm holding up a heart map device here.
Oh, awesome! Yeah. So every function in your body, it has a rhythm to it. So the circadian rhythm, infradian rhythm, ultradian rhythm. Literally everything in life is a rhythm, right? The way, the precision of the planets, the equinox, all of these things has a rhythm to it. A solar system, the way planets move around the sun, everything is rhythmical. So the thing is, all of these functions in our body that have a rhythm are subservient to the rhythm of breath. So just through rhythmic breathing for a few minutes a day, you don't have to do it for all the time, but it's 5 minutes of rhythmic breathing a day is enough to bring harmony back into the body. So I've made it more fun by using music that also is uplifting and gets you into a positive state. When you breathe in this perfect rhythm, okay, and you breathe in a specific rhythm that I recommend, it prepares you as well for kumbhaka because it helps you get the carbon dioxide out and allows you to hold your breath longer beyond the comfort zone, okay? This is where the magic happens, where you lower the oxygen levels in your bloodstream for long enough period of time to trigger this positive stress response, which is triggered by a state called intermittent hypoxia. Intermittent hypoxia is this phenomenon studied by Russian scientists, and it was turned into a protocol called IHT, or intermittent hypoxic training, where you'd use machines to give you a dose of hypoxia every day for a period of like a few weeks. Now, I've put this into a more simple system using rhythmic breathing and breath retentions with music and guidance that follows this IHT protocol, runs over 21 days. The results we've had are truly, truly remarkable because not only does it give you the therapeutic benefits of this becoming more efficient using oxygen and making more efficient mitochondria and this positive stress response that makes you adapt, produce more red blood cells, have more energy and things in the body, right? But with deeper practice over 21 days, in the last 2 weeks of the training, like the last, especially the last 7 days, you'll be able to hold your breath for such a long period of time. You'll be lowering the oxygen to such a degree for a long enough period of time where we can wake up the DMT, the spirit molecule, from within. And you can enter into a state of samadhi, nirvana, okay? Now, actually, this is amazing. There's a YouTube video, you can watch it, where they did experiments with putting people into hypoxic chambers. And so they had a guy who was breathing in very low, like 10% oxygen, atmospheric oxygen, for several minutes and observing what happens. And actually, you only need a little bit of airflow. It doesn't have to be oxygen for your lungs to not feel like they're suffocating. Okay, so a little bit of airflow, even if it's very low in oxygen, will mean that you'll keep breathing and you won't realize that you're not getting enough oxygen. So they did this with this guy, and he was just breathing, and they got them to like draw things and do a few tests. And after a few minutes, because the oxygen levels went down for long enough, 5-6 minutes into it, he starts to go into a state of samadhi and euphoria and divine bliss, to the point where he doesn't want to even move and he doesn't want to do anything. And they had to help him and rush in there and get him to breathe normal oxygen because he just didn't want to do anything else. He just wanted to stay like that. And I believe that this is one of the reasons why the yogis go up to and live in the Himalayas where the oxygen levels are very low. They've adapted themselves to having very low oxygen and being able to survive on very low oxygen so that they can literally live in a state of samadhi and meditate in a state of samadhi. And when you get into that state, and I've been close to that myself with my breath retention times, it is the ultimate bliss state. It's the ultimate state of universal connection to everything that exists.
How can we use this on a daily basis? What's an exercise we can do? And with that said, I live at 7,000 feet, and I go up running above 10,000 feet or beyond at least 3 times a week. And
Wow.
The only way I can describe it is I have more energy the higher up. Both my wife and myself, we feel like we have more energy the higher up we go. We can't breathe at sea level. Get us up where there's less oxygen, we can breathe better.
Wow. Incredible. So you've really adapted to low oxygen. You've climatized.
So
yeah.
We became
Incredible.
goats.
Haha, wow. Oh, that's going to be really good for your overall health.
So how do we, what can we do? So let's say that we're experiencing, and I held up this heart coherence device because I start the day every day by working on my breath. That's how
Beautiful.
I start the day. It's so important to me. What can we do on a daily basis to work with our breath and get our stress levels down?
Okay, beautiful. So I've created a method that it uses this rhythm of 2 in, 4 out. You're doubling the exhalation. So by 2 in, imagine there's a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's a rhythm coming in, like that. All right. So if I was to do this, now, the way to breathe for meditation, breathe in through your nose into your belly, into your chest. So it goes from your belly into your chest and round like a circuit, okay? Or into your heart even, and then breathe out for your mouth. And now I'm going to count a rhythm, okay?
Yep.
Right. So you've got the breathing technique. So if I count a rhythm, in, 2, out, 2, 3, 4. 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 Now fully in. Now let all the air out. And then hold your breath. And just let your neck drop forward. So chin goes towards your chest. You're creating a neck lock, energy lock. And just go into a very still meditative state. Now what we just did there, that 2-4 rhythm, it switches on your parasympathetic nervous system. Starts to dilate your blood vessels, puts you into rest and digest mode. And now, as we're holding our breath, because life is a series of inhales and exhales, just by pressing pause on your breath, you press pause on life, and the thought files start to reassemble, and the brain starts to declutter. It's like pressing defrag on your hard disk. So just use this time just to relax and allow this energy now you've just built up to move with the power of intention to wherever you want it to go. If you want to use it for healing, nourishing, or you want to send it towards creating some energy towards getting something done, like something that's been holding you back. Maybe you need to get something done next week that's going to take your podcast to the next level. Bring your awareness to that and play it out like a movie and embody that feeling of deep gratitude you'd receive if you were to complete that goal, that important task that you've been holding back. So call in that energy and that vitality to make you unstoppable in life. But when you get that urge to breathe, just override the first sensation to breathe. And if you really, really get a strong urge to breathe, by pushing yourself out the comfort zone, you're going to force your body to adapt and become stronger and more efficient. So take a little sip in and blow the air back out and hold your breath again and relax and go back into that state of deep meditation. And again, you can maximize this hypoxic state just by repeating the breath retention 2 or 3 times. By doing this, what happens is you actually increase the length of time you're in hypoxia. And if you begin to lower the oxygen levels down for a long enough period of time, you start to wake up the power of the stem cells out of the bone marrow. Wow. Okay. You need to sneeze. All right, that's okay. But just take a little sip in, blow back out again, hold your breath. And then when you get that really strong urge to breathe, okay, you're going to take a deep inhale in and squeeze the pelvic floor muscles. Wow, that's good.
What does that mean?
Maybe just some dust in the room. And just come back into normal breathing. And just relax. And here's the thing, with deeper practice, you'll be able to even wake up the power of stem cells. This is what I was talking about, because stem cells don't like oxygen. They love low oxygen environments. And actually, we can actually wake up stem cells out of your bone marrow and start to move them to areas in the body that need to heal, nourish, and repair, especially inflammation. So this is the secret of anti-aging and living longer, because with the power of stem cells, we can actually initiate healing in the body. But this takes more practice. That's why we have a protocol that takes you through this with music that actually powers this whole experience. And it makes it very easy to follow. You don't have the annoying me counting. You just follow along with the music, and it guides you in the rhythm with the right breath retention times, the right places. And over 21 days, you'll be able to get into low oxygen levels for a long enough period of time to initiate these positive stress responses, wake up this power of DMT, tryptamines, and even potentially the movement of stem cells in your body.
Beautiful. And if you're listening to audio, and if you're listening on video, come on over to inspirenationshow.com, listen to the audio. We will have at the end of this guided meditation along with music as well.
Yes.
So I'm feeling more relaxed now. I had the sneezes, but I'm feeling more relaxed. And is this something that's temporary, or is this something that's going to carry through the day for me?
Okay, so if you get an app, like one of these HRV apps.
Yep.
If you can get the ones with the power ratings, it tells you if you're in the sympathetic or parasympathetic.
Which do you recommend? I geek out on this stuff. So I've got a heart rate variability on my watch. I've got the device from HeartMath here on my desk. What do you recommend?
Yeah. Well, there's one called Sweet Beats HRV, which is a really good one for, it tells you the power ratings of your heart. Beautiful. On your sympathetic and parasympathetic. And this is a good way you can tell when you're shifting from being parasympathetic to sympathetic. And you'll see that over a period of a few minutes of doing a 2-4 breathing, that you'll switch, okay, to the parasympathetic. You'll see it on the machine. And you'll feel relaxed. You'll feel very like blissed out, okay, because you go into that rest and digest mode. Now, drug companies have educated us, all the scientific community, out of the power to influence our own autonomic nervous system. But I showed you just there, with that one technique, how you can tap into the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic. And so drug companies give you pills for lowering your blood pressure, anti-anxiety pills, sleeping pills that work on the parasympathetic. That obviously inevitably leads to side effects. All right. Now imagine if just through breathing alone you can create the same effect, because all you need to do is do the breathing with intention. Okay, you can put the intention to whatever you want it. So if you do the 2-4 rhythm, you put the intention, I want to sleep. You just say, I command my subconscious mind to sleep. Okay, and wake up feeling refreshed and energized. And if you just repeat that mantra a few times while you're doing the 2-4 rhythm, you'll fall into a deep sleep and you'll wake up being refreshed and energized. You can even play along with it and say, I want to wake up precisely at 10 a.m. without any alarm, just naturally through the power of my subconscious mind. And you can make commands to yourself. It actually is amazing how it works. And you can do the same thing for if you're feeling nervous. You can go into a more calm state just through a few rounds of 2-4 breathing. So for me, 2-4 breathing is the foundation. It's my gift to the world. It's very simple. And with the music, it just makes it very easy to do.
Very, very cool. Going to do some wrap-up questions here in a second, but first I've got to geek out from a performance point of view. I'm always looking, my favorite thing is running straight uphill, skiing straight uphill, anything straight uphill. I just came up with a new term here called hypoxic doping. What can I do using my breath to increase my performance?
Very cool. I like that. I might have to do an article on that. So yeah, doping by definition is where you take something or do something, inject something that gives you an unfair advantage over other people when you're racing or doing some competitive sports. And obviously the Olympics and all those people ban athletes who do any kind of blood doping. And, but the common ones for that are things like steroids, is it? Like
steroids and blood doping. I came up with another one a few years ago, which is beet doping to get a little bit more hemoglobin going on there.
So now just imagine that through breathing alone, we can actually stimulate the growth of new red blood cells. We can actually make the mitochondria more efficient, and we can actually be efficient using less oxygen. So therefore, your stamina improves, your endurance improves, your strength improves. So I think that through this hypoxic training over a period of time, you can become a better athlete. And you already probably have seen this from yourself from doing high altitude like exercise, endurance training at high altitude. So you're probably already observing this. But anyone now who's an athlete who doesn't have the advantage of living at 7,000, kilometers up or whatever it is, you can just do it through breath retention, through these breathing techniques called kumbhaka. And kumbhaka is your natural way through breath retention for becoming more adapted to having less oxygen. And that in itself is like having like an unfair advantage, on people who aren't doing it. Yeah.
I love it. I have a really strange technique. I haven't done it in years. I'm going to do it again. I call it email training, which is you start out just checking your email on your computer, and you start slowing your breath down until you see if you can go, from your 10 breaths a minute to your 4 breaths to 2 breaths. Can you get to 1 breath a minute? Can you get to an inhalation a minute and an exhalation a minute? At some point, you drop the email. And you're just there fully present with the breath, and you can relax into a breath every minute or two, and you just feel at such bliss.
Oh, totally.
With breath.
Yes. And with the 2-4 rhythm, when you're breathing out double the time you breathe in, that is one of the best ways to get into a trance state where you can reprogram your subconscious mind. So if you're into meditation and you practice this extended exhalation, this is what I used to do in the sauna. And actually this 2-4 rhythm, switching on the parasympathetic, cools the body down. When you do the opposite, where you breathe in longer than you breathe out. So if you do, which is like the Wim Hof method, actually.
I call that bellows breathing. So
bellows breathing,
you can find videos of me like Wim running in the snow in the winter. That's the technique there to generate that fire in the inside.
Yes, the opposite. So I recommend that more for people who are looking to get more energy to do things like activities, physical activities. But for healing, you want to do the opposite. You want to do 2-4. So I'm all about the 2-4 rhythm. If you want to get into those trance states and reprogram, so this cools the body down. So if you do it in the sauna, you can last a lot longer in the sauna. It cools the body down, and you get into such powerful trance states that you can reprogram your subconscious mind of thought viruses that have been causing disease and problems in your life. This is my magical technique, is this 2/4 rhythm in a sauna.
Well, I love it. I teach people a lot of different techniques, getting into what we call the hypnagogic state. I call it alchemy, which is working on the other side of the veil. I'd never thought of applying it the way you have with the breath. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Thank you.
What would you tell to Jessica, my wife? She's the producer. She's always wanting to tinker with kids and parenting. What would you tell to parents to do some breath training work with kids?
Again, so kids, again, also suffer from quite often too much fire, too much stress. We're living in a world where everyone's already quite fiery. All right, they've already got a lot of energy. People who are a little bit depressed may actually be too parasympathetic. So apathetic people, they actually might need a bit of fire, and that's why like these more fire-inducing breathing practices can actually be a kickstart for people who are depressed to wake their nervous system up. But people who are burnt out energetically, they may have adrenal problems, they may have chronic illnesses where stress is a big factor, and children who are like a little bit hyperactive and not focused, rather than giving them all these ADHD pills, get them to do this 2/4 rhythm, like breathing in for 2, out for 4, or in for 4, out for 8, lying down even with music, and they'll go into such dreamland themselves that they'll thank you for it. But you'll also be happy because they're not running around causing mayhem and a havoc in the house because they're chilled out. So I really think it's a good training for children, this rhythmic breathing, get into coherence. Here's the other thing, rhythmic breathing gets you into the state called coherence. And when you do 4/4 rhythms, it's the perfect flow for coherence because you're breathing in for the same amount of time you breathe out, balances the nervous system. It also creates this phenomenon called coherence. Actually, any kind of rhythmic breathing, if it's 2/4, will create coherence. This is what HeartMath made popular, and that is where you actually can wake up a stronger magnetic field of the heart, and it rubs off on other people around you. So this perfect state of coherence, as I said, rhythmic breathing, firstly, it harmonizes all the functions of the body, but it can also harmonize people in your environment. So people who aren't coherent, it can rub off on them. So getting children into coherence is a great way for the vibe at school to become happier and more productive as well.
That, between you and me and the hundreds of thousands of listening, that's my secret with my meditations, or not with my meditations, well, it is, with my interviews, is I'm running through a circle breath the whole time I'm speaking with you.
Wow.
Nice and slow and coherent. And what I do, not necessarily with you because you've got the breath going on, is I become the largest tugboat. And so I can help pull my guest out into the deep waters.
Yes.
They feel calmer and relaxed. They don't know why. The audience feels calmer and relaxed. And then we can have kind of this high-level, deep conversation rather than them being in the interview up here.
Yes.
I've dropped them down and in.
Beautiful. This is it.
So 2 things, and then I want to find out where can people go. First off, from studying Buteyko method and breathing years ago, what I learned is one other amazing benefit to your breathing techniques and to any kind of coherent technique is it helps kids with asthma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it helps anyone with asthma. Asthma in itself is a symptom usually of overbreathing. So when we're stressed, like if you imagine thousands of years ago when we were living in tribes, the stress response in our body was very important because it gave us a quick ability to go into battle or to run away when like lions and tigers and bears will come in after you, right, in the jungle. Nowadays, instead of instead of normal jungles, we have concrete jungles, and instead of lions, tigers, and bears, we have bosses, deadlines, processed foods, stimulants, all these things, right? And we are running emotional stress for long periods of the time, and we can't just go out there and defend ourselves. We can't attack our boss, even though we might really feel like it, when they're bullying you. And it may have a relationship that you can't avoid, and you may be living in a very unhappy marriage, and you're constantly switched on with stress. The stress response switched on, the fight and flight response. and you're literally living in a sea of stress hormones. And actually, asthma, right? But what happens in this state is the sympathetic emotional response has the same physiological response as being physically stressed. Yeah. All right, so you start to breathe more. Your demand for oxygen goes up, even though you don't need it. So you start to breathe more faster rhythms, more erratic rhythms. You get more oxygen into the bloodstream, and that can lead to all this oxidative stress. And actually, your asthma is a symptom to protect you against too much oxygen being in the system. So you get
constricting,
nasal connections, constriction, vasoconstriction, to prevent too much oxygen from going into your bloodstream. So actually, people who are asthmatics who don't take medications for it live longer than asthmatics who take medication for it, because the asthma is protecting them from overbreathing. So actually, when you do these breathing techniques and you start to work on carbon dioxide ratios and you start to slow people's breathing down to the point where, especially the first golden rule is to just breathe from the mouth at all times rather than in through the mouth, through the nose. So when you breathe through your nose,
parasympathetic.
Yeah, it stimulates parasympathetic, but it also warms the air. It stops like that cold air from hitting your lungs and the linings that can be very sensitive to cold and damp. Cold and damp, actually, climates, which I'm used to in England, would always make me feel congested. And we're not all of us are geared up for living in the same environments. And my energy types don't like cold, damp. We like warm, hot, sunny kind of climates like LA and tropical climates like Thailand, where I usually live. And so just being mindful of nose breathing and then practicing every day breath retention techniques, just like what we've got, can be enough to correct the physiology, to correct the oxygen carbon dioxide balance, to relieve asthma. And actually, you can fix asthma attacks by holding your breath. It's really strange. You'd think that you'd want to actually breathe more to overcome an asthma attack, but it's actually the opposite.
Advair, Singulair, and I'm forgetting the third one. The asthma medications that I was on for the first 30 years of my life, along with ADD, which you would never say, this guy here is ADD now.
Yeah.
It was through going to the breath. All that medication went to the wayside, and I went from testable with a doctor doing your pulmonary test. He's got 60% capacity, 70% capacity. Maybe I got to 80% capacity, to where I now have well over 100% of average capacity of breathing by learning these kind of techniques.
Amazing. So there you go.
I also geek out. I put a piece of tape on my mouth every night when I go to sleep. And sleep. Both my wife and I now sleep. We're now back to what babies are, obligatory nasal breathers, which calms the system down by taping our mouth closed at night.
Amazing.
So
there you go. So
all right.
This is proof right there. Proof right there. Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more and find your amazing work?
Okay, so I highly recommend you go to somabreath.com, sign up for the free webinar, and on the webinar, I go into all these ideas of how to create your inner pharmacy, how to make your own medicines using the power of the breath. I also take you through a free meditation for 30 minutes long it is actually, and it gives you a daily dose of this hypoxia. You also will do it with thousands of people around the world at the same time, so you're all breathing together with people, raising everyone's vibrations together. And then you can actually learn about our 21-day protocol, which is this 21-day program for getting all the benefits of hypoxia. And then we have an instructor training, so you can actually, if you want to become a breath instructor and run classes, workshops, we have over 150 instructors now around the world who are doing amazing stuff, coaching people with their breath. We also have an amazing resource, the renegadepharmacist.com. On there, you'll see a lot of my knowledge shared on how to heal a variety of different issues, about truth about your body and your relationship with your breath and your body, and yoga and all these ancient holistic practices and the scientific evidence that backs them up. And there's a lot of recipes as well, smoothie recipes, lots of amazing content on there. So I highly recommend you sign up for that. And we also have a store, so with supplements like colostrum,
Yep.
I was telling you about. You can get the best source of colostrum that we recommend in our store as well.
Fantastic. So if you didn't catch somabreath.com, where he's got the free webinar and more, renegadepharmacist.com, where you can find out more information, and I'm guessing the supplements as well. Come on over to inspirenationshow.com. We'll get you over to somabreath.com and renegadepharmacist.com. We've run over.
Yes.
Do you have time for 2 or 3 quick more questions?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, you just said everybody breathing together. What is a conspiracy?
Oh, yes. So actually, this is a very good question. Like, not many people are aware what the real meaning of the word spiritual is. Okay? Spiritual comes from the Latin root word espiritu, which means breath. Spiritual means to breathe. So any organism that breathes is considered spiritual. So by default, all of us are spiritual beings. Okay, we're all spiritual beings. We all breathe. Now, when you breathe in, it's actually inspire. Inspired is the word for breathing in. And actually, when you breathe in is when thoughts created. So we can become more inspired by doing lots of breathing in and holding your breath in, actually. That's a whole nother story in itself. But the word inspiration literally comes from breathing in, because they realize that our thoughts arise from the physiology. And when you breathe in, you create energy and thought. So again, that's another thing. If you can modulate your breathing patterns to calm the thoughts down, as you just did. So expire means to breathe out. And it's also the last thing you do is when you die, is you breathe out. You take an exhale, you breathe out. And so they observed that animals breathe in when they're born and they breathe out when they expire, when they die. So life is just a series of inhales and exhales. Now, conspire means actually to breathe together. Okay. Now, before the 13th century, actually, we would get together as groups in tribes, and we'd breathe together in the same rhythms at exactly the same time, and it will create this collective coherence amongst the tribe. This is what HeartMath studied, and that showed that there was a stronger bond between people as a result of breathing together, and that you can get into these trance-inducing rhythms where you can get into these shamanic states just through the breath and music. So conspiring was actually when people got together and breathed together, prayed together, with an intention for something to happen. After the 13th century, when the Catholic Church put its hands onto everything, that was kind of like considered a bad thing to do. When people got together and did weird things like breathing together, that was like them conspiring to do something, bad. So it got given a bad word. So, but it was before that, it was a good thing. My greatest conspiracy right now is this Breathe Together campaign that we're doing, where people get together, breathe together online exactly the same time. Our 21-day protocol is an amazing example of that, where everyone's doing the same practice every day. And we're having amazing results. And people are becoming happier, more connected, deeper bonds. And yeah, this is like, I'm so blessed that we have all the tools right here within us already, waiting to be tapped into.
I love it. We can literally change the world by breathing together.
Yes.
So this has been phenomenal. So I'm going to do 2 last things. Well, we're going to dive into his meditation right now with music. So enjoy. out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 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 out, 2, And for everyone, the last real question I have is, would you have top 3 tips you would give people for changing their life by changing their breath?
Okay. So in relation to breath, practice rhythmic breathing, 2/4 rhythms, okay, for getting into healing states. And is a really good rhythm, that 2/4 rhythm, after you've had a meal, because it helps you digest, or even before a meal, helps you get into a state where your digestive organs are ready to eat and digest food. So this is a way for you to switch off stress, get into rest and digest. So you can also use this as a way to sleep. It's your remedy, so that you're not dependent on those pills that work on the parasympathetic nervous system. 2/4 rhythm is the ultimate method for me for doing so. But here's the thing: before all of this, okay, you need to ask yourself a question every single morning. And if your answer to this question isn't right, then this is what causes all the stress in your life. And that is, are you waking up with absolute enthusiasm to do a hard day's work, or do you wake up feeling you just are doing whatever it is you're doing just to fit in, to survive? Okay, and are you waking up enthusiastic to be compassionate, or is the compassion missing? Because if your answer to those questions are no, and you feel like you're just doing things to survive, and you're just doing it because you have to do it, that's the beginning of all your problems. And that's where the stress is going to kick in, and you can lead to chronic stress. And all of this other stuff, you can have every single technique in the world, all right? If you can't answer that first question with a positive answer, they're no good, they're useless. So the first thing, and this is one of the goals of the 21-day protocol that we have, is to get people answering that question with a positive answer and saying yes to life, right? And this is the best gift I can give somebody, is that if we can help you find your bliss, your path, that's really what you really want to do, that really there's also not irrational, where you can actually make an income doing it and survive in this day and age, then I would have really done my job. And that's really one of the goals of Soma, is to give people an avenue, an outlet, so that they wake up every day with absolute enthusiasm. And that's why this instructor training, becoming a breathwork instructor or a yoga teacher through our Soma training, is one of the best ways to create a second income or full-time income, doing something that really helps people. And we're actually rolling out this next level training, which encompasses all the nutrition advice, the lifestyle advice. Is basically you become like a pharmacist, a renegade pharmacist. And that's going to help people have really strong careers as health coaches. Because I think this is really important right now, is that we're living in a world where knowledge is become deprived from people. And we're getting more and more awareness now as well because of the internet. However, there's so much noise as well. So I really have the mantra that if you want to get successful, follow people who are already successful, do what they do, and then you'll get successful. So we're really good with people with gut-related issues, stress-related issues, and I have a protocol that really helps with that. So I'm training people in this protocol to deliver it as experts, so that we can actually create more abundance in the world. Actually, the measure of your health, like you don't need any other biofeedback machines, okay, is how long you can hold your breath for, right, at rest, and how long you can hold a single note for. So if you go, so if you have a very strong vital capacity, which means you're very healthy, you better do your breath for at least, you better hold a single turn for at least 30 seconds or more. I can hit around 50 seconds with a bit of practice. So you'll find that when you do these breath retention, you're probably really high already anyway because you've been climatized, but you'll find that you'll be able to, every day if you do this hypoxic training, you'll be able to hold your breath longer and longer and do these tones for ages. You don't need any other biofeedback machines.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Thank you, Niraj. This has been phenomenal. This is one of those interviews that keep you going on and on. But
yeah, good.
But you get to enjoy Encinitas and your program where you're teaching today, and I'm going to go out and breathe in the thin oxygen, the thin air.
Nice. That's so great.
So thank you so much for being here today. This was truly phenomenal. I love what you're doing. I so support your work.
Thank you so much. Much love.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, check out Soma Breath, and begin changing your life by changing your breath today. And shine bright. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Thank you so much, Niraj. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!